Mingyu draws the line. One question, one look, and a moment that made US media stop and ask, is K-pop finally redefining idol boundaries? Was it just an awkward comment in a live stream, or was it the exact second the global K-pop industry quietly shifted direction right in front of millions of eyes? On the 31st of January 2026, inside a car, during what should have been an ordinary and forgettable live broadcast, Kim Mingyu of 17 did something that American entertainment media are now calling a rare moment of idol boundaries. He did not shout. He did not deliver a rehearsed speech. He did not smile it away. He simply reacted visibly, honestly, and without polish when a fan asked for something that crossed an invisible but crucial line: the private phone number of jeon Jungkook of BTS. Why did this single reaction ripple so loudly across platforms, fandoms, and even continents? Why did US outlets pause, rewind the clip, and focus not on the comment itself, but on Mingyu's expression? And why are critics now asking whether the era of unlimited fan service in Asian pop culture is quietly coming to an end? From Jakarta to New York, from X timelines to American pop culture columns, this was no longer just a fandom dispute. It became a conversation about privacy, power, and the emotional labor idols have been expected to perform for years without complaint. The live stream itself was simple. Mingyu was seated in his car, relaxed, scrolling through comments as countless fans tuned in. Then a message appeared asking, "What are you doing? I want Jungkook's phone number." For a split second, Mingyu froze. His face changed not dramatically, but unmistakably. Confusion gave way to disbelief. Disbelief sharpened into irritation. And then came the response that would soon dominate headlines. Calling the comment ridiculous, Mingyu told the user to leave the live broadcast. No jokes, no buffering smile, no corporate phrasing. Just a boundary. Clips of the moment were first shared by the fan account at Daily JK Praise, accompanied by a caption that cut straight to the point, asking how anyone could think it was acceptable to request Jungkook's personal number during a live stream hosted by his friend. The post exploded across X, accumulating thousands of reposts within hours and igniting debates that quickly spread beyond BTS's ARMY and 17's Carrot fandoms. Other accounts joined in almost immediately. At About Music JK described the incident as absurd, reminding viewers that idols are human beings with private lives. A top soloist H questioned whether people had lost touch with reality, emphasizing that such requests were not only inappropriate but disrespectful, not just to Jungkook, but to Mingyu himself. Yet what fascinated American media was not the outrage, it was the delivery. Several US entertainment outlets highlighted Mingyu's facial expression, calling it unguarded, protective, and most notably, unscripted. In an industry famous for polished responses and carefully managed idol behavior, Mingyu's reaction felt raw. A columnist for a US pop culture site described it as the look of someone no longer performing a role, but reacting as a friend. This distinction mattered. For years, K-pop idols have been trained to maintain approachability at all costs. Fan service has been framed not just as marketing, but as an emotional contract. Idols give access, fans give loyalty. Smiles are expected. Tolerance is assumed. Boundaries, when they exist, are usually enforced quietly by agencies, not publicly by the idols themselves. That is why this moment felt different. American commentators began framing the incident not as a fan misstep, but as a cultural signal. One US entertainment analyst described it as a crack in the fantasy, suggesting that global audiences are now witnessing idols reclaiming personal agency in real time. Another outlet questioned whether this marked the beginning of a shift, where idols no longer feel obligated to absorb inappropriate behavior under the banner of fan love. The timing made the conversation even louder. Mingyu and Jungkook are both part of the famous 97 line, a group of idols born in 1997 whose friendships across groups BTS, 17, NCT, and others have long been celebrated by fans. Their bond has often been portrayed as wholesome proof of camaraderie in a competitive industry. Yet this incident revealed the pressure that fame places not only on individuals, but on friendships themselves. By asking for Jungkook's number, the commenter did not just violate Jungkook's privacy. They placed Mingyu in an impossible position, forcing him to either laugh it off or draw a line publicly. His choice to do the latter resonated deeply with viewers who have grown increasingly uncomfortable with how normalized invasive fan behavior has become. US media drew direct comparisons to Western celebrity culture, where public figures routinely shut down intrusive questions without backlash. Why, commentators asked, are K-pop idols still expected to tolerate what Western artists openly reject? Why is politeness demanded even in moments of clear disrespect? The question hit a nerve. Fans too were divided. While many praised Mingyu for protecting his friend, others argued that idols should avoid reading comments altogether to prevent such moments. Yet even that criticism revealed an uncomfortable truth. Why should the burden always fall on idols to manage fans' behavior, rather than on fans to self-regulate? The discussion soon expanded beyond this single live stream. Jungkook's history with privacy violations resurfaced, including past incidents where his phone number was leaked, leading to relentless calls from unknown individuals. HYBE has repeatedly emphasized the importance of respecting artists' personal space, but enforcement often feels abstract. Until moments like this bring the issue into sharp focus, American outlets framed Mingyu's response as something rarely seen. An idol enforcing boundaries in real time, without agency mediation, without apology. One headline described it as a small moment with big implications, suggesting that younger idols, raised under global scrutiny, may be less willing to sacrifice personal dignity for public comfort. Was this a turning point, or simply a viral anomaly? That question continues to hover over the fandom landscape. Some analysts believe the global expansion of K-pop has accelerated cultural exchange in unexpected ways. As idols gain Western audiences, they are also absorbing Western norms around consent, privacy, and individuality. Mingyu's reaction, they argue, reflects that influence, not rebellion, but evolution. Others caution against overinterpretation. K-pop, after all, is still deeply structured, and one moment does not dismantle an entire system. Yet even skeptics admit that the response from international media signals something important. The world is watching not just the music, but how idols are treated and how they respond. What made this incident linger was its emotional honesty. Mingyu did not frame himself as a moral authority. He did not lecture. He simply reacted as someone who recognized a line being crossed and refused to pretend otherwise. That authenticity, US commentators noted, is increasingly rare in celebrity culture, and even rarer in K-pop. As debates continue across platforms, one thing is clear. This was never just about a phone number. It was about respect, about friendship, about the unspoken expectation that idols must always be available, always accommodating, always silent. Mingyu's brief, sharp response challenged that expectation. And now the question that lingers, asked not only by fans, but by media analysts and cultural critics alike, is impossible to ignore. If one honest reaction could spark a global conversation, how many other moments like this have been swallowed by silence? And as K-pop continues its rise on the world stage, will idols be allowed to draw lines without fear of backlash? For now, the clip continues to circulate, replayed and dissected, not because it was dramatic, but because it was real. In an industry built on illusion, that may be the most disruptive thing of all. And yet, as the clip continued to circulate, another question began to surface, one that US media quietly slipped between the lines of their coverage. Why did this moment feel so shocking in the first place? American entertainment commentators pointed out something uncomfortable. In Western pop culture, a celebrity telling a fan no is not news, it is routine. It is expected. But in K-pop, that single syllable still carries weight, risk, and controversy. Mingyu's response felt rare, not because it was harsh, but because it was honest. That rarity, critics argued, exposes how deeply normalized boundary crossing has become in idol fandom culture. Several US outlets replayed the footage frame by frame, zooming in on Mingyu's eyes, his brief pause, the microsecond where he decided not to perform politeness. One columnist described it as the face of someone choosing integrity over optics. Another noted that Mingyu did not look angry at fans as a group, but specifically irritated by the entitlement embedded in the request. That distinction mattered. This was not an idol lashing out, it was an idol refusing to participate in something inappropriate. Why did that refusal resonate so strongly with global audiences? Part of the answer lies in the changing relationship between idols and fans in the social media era. Live streams were once celebrated as tools for intimacy, spaces where idols could feel closer to supporters without filters. But intimacy, when unregulated, can quickly slide into intrusion. US media framed Mingyu's response as evidence that idols are increasingly aware of this danger and increasingly willing to push back. The incident also reopened a long-simmering debate about fan entitlement. In American coverage, the fans' comment was repeatedly described not as curiosity, but as possession, the assumption that access to idols also means access to their private lives, their friends, their personal information. Mingyu's reaction shattered that assumption in real time. And then there was Jungkook. Although he was not present in the live stream, his name dominated the aftermath. US outlets revisited previous reports of Jungkook's privacy being violated, from leaked phone numbers to unwanted contact. In that context, Mingyu's response took on a protective dimension. Media analysts suggested that this was not just about shutting down a rude comment, but about shielding a friend from yet another intrusion. That framing struck a chord. The narrative shifted from idol scolds fan to friend defends friend. In a culture that often portrays idols as isolated figures managed by corporations, this human dynamic felt powerful. Still, not everyone agreed. Some commentators questioned whether such moments risk alienating fans, especially in an industry where loyalty is everything. But American media pushed back against that idea, arguing that fandoms built on fear of honesty are unsustainable. One US pop culture editor wrote that Mingyu's response might actually strengthen trust, not weaken it, by redefining the relationship as one based on mutual respect rather than unlimited access. This perspective sparked intense debate online. Supporters praised Mingyu for saying what agencies often imply but rarely allow idols to express directly. Critics worried about setting precedents, yet even dissenting voices acknowledged that the conversation itself was overdue. What made this moment linger was its emotional clarity. There was no ambiguity about why Mingyu reacted the way he did. He did not hide behind humor. He did not defer responsibility. He acted instinctively, and that instinct was to protect boundaries. As US media continued to analyze the incident, a broader cultural question emerged. Is K-pop entering an era where idols are no longer expected to absorb discomfort for the sake of fan satisfaction? The industry's global expansion may be accelerating this shift. As K-pop reaches Western markets, idols are increasingly exposed to conversations about consent, autonomy, and mental health topics that Western artists openly discuss and defend. Mingyu's response, some analysts argued, reflects that influence, signaling a generation of idols less willing to normalize invasive behavior. Yet the uncertainty remains. Will agencies support idols who draw such lines, or will they quietly discourage similar responses in the future? Will fans adjust their expectations, or will moments like this continue to spark backlash? And most importantly, how many idols have wanted to react this way, but felt unable to? Mingyu's brief comment did not answer these questions, but it forced them into the open. In the days following the incident, the clip was no longer just a viral moment, it became a reference point. Fans cited it in discussions about sasang behavior. Commentators used it as an example of changing norms. And US media continued to describe it with a phrase that lingered long after the headlines faded, a rare moment of idol boundaries. Rare, but perhaps no longer isolated. As K-pop continues to evolve under global scrutiny, moments like this may become less shocking and more expected, or they may remain flashes of resistance in an industry still learning how to balance access with dignity. For now, one image endures. Mingyu, in a car, reading a comment, pausing, and choosing honesty over performance. And the question that American media keeps asking quietly, insistently still, hangs in the air. If idols can finally say, enough, are fans ready to listen? And that lingering question refuses to fade, because beneath it sits a deeper, more uncomfortable reality, one that US media has only recently begun to articulate out loud. For decades, the K-pop industry has been built on an unspoken trade. Idols offer access, warmth, and emotional availability, while fans offer devotion, numbers, and power. It is a system that has fueled global success, but it has also blurred lines so thoroughly that moments like Mingyu's feel shocking, precisely because they expose what has been quietly tolerated for far too long. American commentators noted that Mingyu did not raise his voice, did not threaten, and did not moralize. His response was brief, almost casual, yet firm. That balance is what made it resonate. It suggested that setting boundaries does not have to be dramatic to be effective. Sometimes, it is simply a refusal to play along. Why does that matter now? Because the global audience is changing. US. Media coverage emphasized that younger fans, especially those consuming K-pop through international platforms, are increasingly sensitive to issues of consent and privacy. They are more likely to question why idols are expected to endure discomfort and silence. Mingyu's reaction, then, was read not as confrontation but as alignment with a growing global awareness. One American culture